Good to meet you.
Same here.
Okay. And you're coming from Chennai?
Come again, sorry?
Are you coming in from Chennai?
Yes, I'm logging in from Chennai.
Okay. Good to meet you.
Same here. I think your story was very, attractive. I mean, interesting.
I don't know. That's what I have, and that's what I'm speaking to.
Probably if you listen, mine is something similar.
Okay.
Again.
I'll listen. I want to listen to what you have to say.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, this is only for stories, right?
Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah, let me call Dia to introduce our second speaker, Mr. Ravi.
Yeah. First, before that, I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen, and good luck with your choice of careers and your future plans ahead. So keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravi. Dia, can you?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Our next speaker is Mr. Ravi M. He started Terafast Networks in the year 2004 to provide design and QA automation services in the area of networking, telecom, and security. He is currently serving as CEO and CTO. He has completed his BE from Government College of Technology, Coimbatore, and then did his MS by Research in Computer Networks from IIT Madras. Prior to Terafast, he was a principal software engineer in Elacoya Networks Incorporated USA, an engineer manager for product development in Future Software Limited, and founding member in Banyan Networks Private Limited. He is also serving as adjunct faculty in Department of Computer Science in SRM University, visiting professor in Department of Computer Science in Vignan University, and expert committee member in University Entrepreneurs Board, Vignan University. He is also a member trustee in Social Service Trust and also works for the upliftment of physically challenged people. His wife is the finance director of Terafast Networks. He has a son and a daughter. His son is doing MBBS and his daughter is in 8th standard. He loves teaching and provides technical presentations in various colleges in emerging technologies. He loves to be hands-on and likes to stay in race with the new developing technologies. We are honored to have you here with us, sir. Over to you.
Thanks, Dia. Thanks for the introduction. And that was actually prepared by me, so looks like I did a good job. Right. So, one second. Should start from. Let me share the screen. So before I start, thanks a lot, Ashraf, for providing this opportunity. Are the audiences mostly students here, or what type of audiences we have, Ashraf?
Yeah, mostly students. They are into
Okay.
BSc, BTech, and then some are just completed their graduation. And
Very
just
nice, very nice.
kind of.
So I'm trying to, probably address a couple of things here. One is, my entrepreneurial journey, and probably I'm going to, highlight, what we should not do if you are being an entrepreneur. At the final stage, I just want to say, there are a few things. Again, everybody, they should give a try to become an entrepreneur. And I think you shouldn't be afraid of failure, which I will cover. I think there are 5 factors if you keep in mind. Probably, everybody can be a successful entrepreneur. I think we have to work. We need to be employed in an organization, but sometimes you can try this, it could be a risky one, but nothing is, the failure is not a stoppage in your further career. I think a lot of companies look for people, who fail in their entrepreneurship, but because they may know what is right and what is wrong. So let me share the screen. I have few slides. Again, I wouldn't want to bore you at 9:45. Again, a lot of people sleep at 10. So I'll try to keep my presentation as short as possible.
Yeah, you can go 5-10 minutes extra, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So let me, sorry, I'm not able to, okay. I'll go with the, this is just my entrepreneurial journey. Let me, I think this is not required. I think I got some awards. notably one from, it's a state award from Government of Tamil Nadu, and also from CII, Southern region. They, I think in 2019, they provided me an award. So I think I'm fine. So I think the first thing I want to say is, I know I have been, I had a good educational background. I think I'm pretty lucky. One thing, there are a lot of, students are here, a lot of students who have passed out, we have come out. One thing I want to say is, education is a valuable asset. I think there is one thing which can drastically transition a person is going to be education. Because if I go back 30 years, for example, in 1989 or 1993, that's when I passed out. I think until 1993, 3 meals a day used to be a luxury for us. But today I can give, I'm able to employ a lot of people and I can give food. So the only difference is, I think before 1993, I did not have an education, but I got a very good education from 2 good institutions. I think that has really changed the life. And it has also, provided a confidence that even tomorrow, if you come back to zero, I think you don't need to be worried, because you can start from zero and again achieve great heights, because you have got a very big asset called education that's behind you. And coupled with the hardworking and, a good attitude, like what Rafi said, I think that will take you back. So that's what is required, is a confidence. So my entrepreneur, I think as Dia was pointing out, after my master's degree, I had some of my IIT colleagues, a few people from electrical department, few from computer science. We thought, we will start a company, and Professor Junjunwala was still there in IIT, and he was kind of, he helped us, start the company, but we were all founding members trying to develop a product. So that was a first level exposure as a product development. And it is very good to get opportunities like that, because it's a, a startup company, a very small company, but the kind of product that we are developing is a kind of, a challenge to the, even to the US companies. We were developing a 24-port Ethernet switch. In India, none of the companies were developing even a 4-port switch, and they were importing it. And when you import a 4-port Ethernet switch, even a single port used to cost pretty high. And one of the primary reasons of we starting a company is we wanted to create a very cost-effective Ethernet switch, because Ethernet switches are mandatory to connect buildings. Especially our first customer was IIT Madras, where we wanted to connect all the departments to the computer center, because computer center had the Ethernet network link, and every department need to go to internet, and they wanted to share the Ethernet network. So in fact, we developed and then we used that. Along with that, we also developed a switch which was marketed by a US company. I'm talking about 1996. We developed products, they marketed. In fact, in 1997, we were the finalist for Networld Interop. So the good thing about that is, I think I was exposed very early into, product development, and the kind of freedom you get is you can, work on hardware. So when we design, I go into the details. I'm from a computer science background, but I'm given an opportunity to, make a choice on what kind of processor we should use. So we chose a DSP processor for a Ethernet switch. I think that was the first time somebody, would have thought about it. For the simple reason that the DSP had serial ports, and that can support 10 Mbps bidirectional bandwidth. So we used a DSP, and then we want to keep the cost down. So we, in fact, I was one of the software developers. I could have gone for C and then done a cross compilation to get the code, but in order to save the cost and then get a higher performance, we started doing it in assembly language itself. So language is not a problem, but it's what is more important is trying to achieve what you are looking for. So I had an opportunity of designing the processor. I had an opportunity to code. I can today I will work on assembly program. Tomorrow I'll go to the management program where that is written in C. And I think C and assembly was quite common during that time. Later C++ came in, and then Java, everything else came later. So I think I had a very good experience. Then I had to jump for some reasons. I moved into a Future Software Limited, which is now called as Horizon Inc. So I got an excellent exposure with respect to layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, even layer 1. And when I moved to Future Software, I was made the in charge for the product division. So they were primarily developing TCP/IP stacks, whether it's a unicast stacks or whether it's a multicast routing protocol, or whether it is a L2TP VPN tunnels and so on and so forth. So all the stacks were developed under me, and I had like 35 plus people working. And again, I'm more of a hands-on. So I jump into every RFC standards, look at it, design. I do coding if required. I do testing. So I don't, even though I'm an engineering manager, I think I was more passionate towards being hands-on. So that's one of the things. So there I had a good experience, good exposure, and then I had an opportunity to go to US. Till that time I didn't want to go to US, even though I come from a good institution, because I think the country has invested a lot in me. For example, for the engineering, I think Ashraf knows it. I think my yearly fees was only 360, but I had a merit scholarship, which was yearly, it's like 1,200 rupees, close to that. So in fact, government paid for my fees as well. And if you look at my master's degree in IIT, the actual fees is somewhere around 1,600, but I'm paid a stipend every month that comes close to 2,800. So this country has completely invested for my education, and I was of the opinion that I will probably reciprocate by staying in this country. That changed a bit because I had few changes in my view after few incidents. Then I thought, why don't I go to US and then see what is happening there and what is the advancements in compared to Indian companies. So I just applied it, and then I was able to get into one of the US companies, and I was targeting for startup because I wanted to stay on the development part of it and do what I was doing. So there I was working on a carrier class Ethernet switch. I think that's a very bulky switch that had all the interfaces, that even the ATM was, talked about at the time. We had a ATM, we had a frame relay, we had Ethernet, and we were talking about gigabit Ethernet at that point of time. So they were trying to pack everything that was very new as per the standards. And then I had a good opportunity. And that's when, with this history, you might ask, why did I come back to India and then started my company? Again, that was unplanned. I think I was in US, my parents were in Chennai, and my brother was taking care of my younger brother. And he got a PhD in IIC Bangalore, and he couldn't resist that offer. So he had to leave, and then my parents who were old, they became, they had somebody has to take care of them. So at that point, this might look silly for many people. I think my colleagues, my friends said, for that reason, you shouldn't go back to India. Probably you can call your parents here, but my parents are more orthodox. So I didn't want to, push them onto something that they may not be able to adapt. So I decided to come back. So I thought, I will go back and then try to find some good company and start. And then I told my current company that, I have to go back because for me, that is more priority than, working in this company. In fact, I had a luxury life there. I was in that startup company, I was playing a very vital role. I was highly paid and so on and so forth. But still then I thought, this is very important to take care. So I thought of coming back, and then my VP said, yeah, that's a good idea, you can go. But why do you want to dissociate from this company? Why don't you start your company and, work for us? Instead of working here in US, you could continue working from India, I think. So like Rafiq said, I think I started a company with the support from the client. So I had a client project when I came here. I started with 3 people. So it was really unplanned. So it was accident or it was God grace. In fact, if you're reasoning, if your causes in a good way, I think things happen in a good way. So probably that decision was good for me, even though many people thought I am making a mistake, but I'm far better, if I had made a choice of staying there. So that is how I started the company. Being a small company with 3 people, I started in an apartment, and then, it was tough to hire the people. If I call people for an interview, if they are highly experienced, skillful, relevant to what I'm looking for. Looking at the environment, they didn't even join. So at some point I compromised. I said, I'm going to spend more time. I'm going to, pick people, and then I'm going to hire, train, and then get the work done. I think that's how I started it. And I think we did very well. And, the company started increasing our resources, and they completely become, dependent on us. So that boosted me further, and it became a kind of single client dependency. So my thought was, again, I'm being a first time entrepreneur, a lot of times I make a wrong decision. So here I thought, this client probably, because they are depending on me, at some point of time, they may either, open a company here and then probably expand, so that, I have a next level of, growth there. But I was fully dependent on that. And then I saw my original company started being acquired by many other companies. And when such a transition happens, I used to go through a kind of a fear, saying that, whether when a company acquires other one, whether we are all contractors, so whether we'll still continue, or, we may be probably dropped off. At some point of time, we always felt, we are under risk because we are depending on a single client. At any time, they might probably, say goodbye. Again, the way they say goodbye is very, very nice. They call you, they say all good words, and then say, unfortunately, we couldn't use your service. But it puts us in a very difficult situation. And again, being a small company, I really didn't know we should have a sales. So at some point, I thought I will start looking out for other opportunities. So my way of sales is trying to reach out to my friends, reach out to my colleagues from IIT, or reach out to other known sources. So I started doing, apart from the technical thing, I started doing a lot of sales, pre-sales hat, and I was also serving as a network admin. So the switches were sent here. I used to import it. Again, I go through a lot of issues with the custom, because whenever there's an issue with the import, the customs want to call the CEO and talk to them. And primarily, the reason, they wanted to negotiate on the bribe that I need to give. So I used to go through a serious nightmare. I had spent, a whole day sitting there, couldn't meet an assistant commissioner to clear things, and they make your life hell, because our primary focus is, get the technology, work for the client, develop software, deliver, but eventually, you end up in something else. And as an entrepreneur, you should be patient. You should expect it. I think many times I lost patience. I said, rather I would throw this out and go and work for a company, so I don't need to face these things. But eventually, if your goal is there, then you will go through it. Then comes, we saw this 2008 where there was a market slowdown, and we didn't, and I mean, we were looking for further growth, but that was not happening because they had a hit, the client had a hit. So every year, either increase in resource or increase in revenue, we couldn't see it after 2008. And then I was trying to say, we need to definitely grow. So I thought, if I focus purely on networking, telecom, and security, which is the three areas I wanted to be in, and my focus is to work only on the, the latest bleeding edge technology, because that is the area a lot of people are not there. You wouldn't want to take a legacy and then be one among 1,000, but rather, try to do something new where you can see there is a learning, there's some contribution back kind of a thing. So I then started saying, why don't we look at other verticals which are, surrounding this. So slowly I started looking at, what is the other area. One of the things that came up is, with the networking opportunities coming down, I thought data center is the next thing that can grow, because data centers also require switches, but the kind of use case is different. So then I started looking at that. Then subsequently, I started expanding the offered services. So we were primarily doing a QA solution, and I was doing a design and architecture. Then we thought, I think if we are just going to, just limit ourselves with this QA automation and design, that's not going to help. So we slowly thought of providing a full solution. It is not easy, I think, because every customer comes with different ideas. First of all, you should be in a position to understand what they are asking about. You should know, is there any current solutions available? what is the best we can offer. I think there may be multiple people, probably coming up with solutions. And if you need to win, definitely yours should be unique. So it requires a lot of learning, quick turnaround. I'll talk about it in the coming slides. And then also, I knew things that were greener when I started doesn't seem to be greener anymore. I think we have worked on telecom protocols with the 2G, 3G, 4G. In 4G, we even did a simulation completely with the a simulated software to simulate IMS or to simulate SGS. But at some point of time, you need to start looking at other technologies. I think the cloud, started coming up, booming up, and that's when we thought, we will have some kind of a private cloud infrastructure, which is in fact, I felt is very important for us. I think we had something called an OpenStack, which is a kind of a open source cloud infrastructure that once you set it up, you don't need to give a dedicated machine for everybody. People can have a very lightweight system, and then for their work, we can give an instance from our, on-premises cloud infrastructure. So it's very easy to manage. So we initially started with OpenStack. Then for various reasons, we started using VMware, EXXI, and we are using that EXXI still now. I think that's a huge data. I mean, we have a lab with 20 plus servers, and we are running the EXXI software there, one with 5.5, another with 6.5. And we are able to dynamically provide instance. We can switch off by a command. We can bring down the instances. We can bring up. We can do it, on a regular basis using some Python scripts. So it was our, things to look at what are new technologies, and then we have to stay alive, because when a company comes for any ideas, you cannot say, I do not know, I'll come back. I think that doesn't work well with the customer. So you need to be really ahead of the customer. You need to know what you should do. So you have to do a lot of reading. I think as a CTO of this company, I think whenever I find time, I try to learn new things. I try to go and see, what is there in the market, what does people do for this? Because when I try to guide somebody, or when I try to propose something, I need to make sure what I am saying is correct. So there is a lot of things, you need to be very careful here. And the last question I've been asking is, I think I remember my previous speaker was also saying, should a technical person be a CEO of a company? So a year or two back, I decided I'll have to come out of CEO, because I go with the technical, as a technical person, the way I look at the companies, for example, when a project comes in, unless, I have a confidence that we can do, or we can hire people, I wouldn't accept it. But I happened to meet one of my friend who did his IIM, MBA in an IIM thing, and then he was leading the company, and for him getting the contract, and he says, once you get a contract, we will know how to get it done. So we really did not need to worry about whether we can deliver it or not, kind of a thing. So probably I am the person who is blocking the growth of the company. So I thought maybe I should do just a CTO level of thing, and then probably allow somebody with a sales background. I mean, again, I'm not sure who should be who should match the CEO, but should a technical person do it? I think I'm still not convinced of an answer for that. I'm still continuing, but that is one thought I have been going through the mind. And you can see, the diversified verticals. We started with networking, telecom, security. Then slowly we moved into database, big data, NoSQL, and then we moved into IoT, cloud content, cloud storage, SaaS, and now all the services are provided with microservices. We now, if customer wants a solution on the cloud, we can use AWS technologies to provide a solution using some Lambda functions. We can use data lakes and so on and so forth. If they are looking for Azure, we can do that. If they wanted to host them in a Google Cloud, we can do that. So we are trying to cope up with the actual market requirement, and that requires a lot of reading. Again, most of the reading, most of the technology thing, currently I am taking the ownership. So whenever time permits, I try to make sure I spend a lot of time trying to know what is happening around me. So, and the final thing is, if your company is a service company, yeah, you can run the show. The service companies will feed you, and you can go through. But I think it's always important you have a product of your own, because the value of the company really, skyrockets if you have a product that that becomes successful and you have a huge customers based on that. And the amount of energy, I mean, happiness or the amount of satisfaction you get when you develop a product of your own rather than creating something for the other customer is really, with multiple, factors. So we have already started that 3 years back. And I think, I do not know whether my timing was not correct. I think after the COVID, this is a pure domestic product. We use a RPA, we use a workflow automation. They are all workflow automation. We use some technology which came like 2 years back, and that was very useful. We can easily pull things and then give some drag and drop options for people to create their own workflows. But unfortunately, that was targeted for domestic customers. In this COVID-19 pandemic, I think we couldn't sell to many people. I think before that, we had at least like 10, 15 customers. They were using our SaaS-based solution, but that didn't work out after the COVID. So we have put that in shelf. We want to take it up back once the pandemic is done. So now, since I talked about the COVID-19 pandemic, one question I have is COVID-19 pandemic a challenge or an opportunity? As a business person, one of the things is you need to look at things as a positive thing. So the positive attitude is very important. So, but that is not going to hide challenges. I have, in fact, personally, as running a company with all the people working, doing a work from home or one from home, whatever you want to call, delivery has to be made. The delivery dates are not fixed, assuming you are in COVID-19 pandemic or, you are into where people are working in rural. That doesn't matter at all. I think the dates are set. We use agile methodology. We have a delivery MVP delivered every sprint. So the delivery has to happen irrespective of what happens. Here, work from home has become a new normal today. I do not know when this COVID-19 is going to end. And until then, I cannot risk my employees. So for the last, I would say 15 months, we are all working from home. And there are a lot of people, I think initially when I recruited people, I give more opportunities to people from rural because, I really don't think, the people should have good communication. As long as, like Rafik said, as long as they have a very good attitude, they have passion in what they are doing it. And if they show strength, automatically they will learn speaking as well. And they talk to us, obviously language will come in. So we have taken a lot of people with rural background, and that is now hitting us because, the urban, the kind of facility we have with urban is not around in the, rural areas. Again, I cannot generalize it. There are some rural areas which are coming up fine, but in general, when I talk to my team, they either have an internet issue, they have a power issue, and there are certain category of employees who do not have ownership. So, you cannot have somebody to watch them whether they are working or not. I think you give a activity, they are supposed to report back, and we cannot all the time, remote desktop into their system and see what they are doing. I think that is not going to work out. Every individual has to come up with a responsibility. Again, if you cannot throw out somebody and bring in new one because, you will have to work with somebody you know already. I think known devil is better than unknown angel. So, you still have to deliver it. So that has put a lot of pressure on, myself as well as with my team leads. Today, I'm in all the meetings. We have many projects. So I wanted to be on all the meetings to see if there are any, impacts with this COVID-19 pandemic. So I used to work 12 hours before, and now it has expanded to 15 hours because I do have my own 3 hours where I still code. I still, look at small prototyping, doing some POC. I can code in Python, Java, .NET Core, or Node.js, JavaScript, Angular, React. That's my passion. So I can put something quickly and bring it up. So I need, my time to work on my own activities. So I think I've been finding it very difficult to, cope this up. I think sometimes it goes even beyond 16 hours and resulting in, whether I'm compromising with my family time. And the productivity is a very big concern. So I think if they are in the same place, we can ensure productivity because we will have my team leads, managers, they are all around, and then we can have statuses every day. But periodically multiple times in a day. But now things are, it's tough. Sometimes if somebody couldn't do it because some people even have got into COVID-19 issues, and then they were out for a few days, and then sometimes, I take up the story, finish it, and then still keep the customer happy. I think in this COVID-19 pandemic, one of the primary goals is to make sure, the customers are happy. It may be tough to get new customers, but, it's very important to keep the existing customers. But luckily, because, we are providing services across many verticals, and again, I am able to provide solutions. So I keep getting a lot of customer calls. Now we have a BDM for the last 2-3 years. I have a BDM team who are responsible for bringing clients in, and then it's my responsibility to convert those opportunities into an actual business revenue. Sometimes this is the most tough thing, because this lockdowns have made people not move around. My system admins you used to be 20 kilometers from our office, and now they have gone back to their rural areas, and we have our own data center in our office. So in our building we have one lab where we have got, like as I said, 25 servers. I have Raspberry Pi is acting as a routers and VPN endpoints. And sometimes if something happens for some reason, the network admin is not around, so I get into the lab, I take the monitor, I connect it, I check if the server has gone for some reason gone down, and then if disk is corrupted, I may need to run a FSCK. So I am currently playing an additional role of system admin as well, because I stay closer to the office. I am close to 500 meters. Ashraf knows. Ashraf stays very close to my office. He's nearer than me. He's just opposite to my office. There's an additional burden that I have been taking. And another difficulty is, we have got switches, we have got equipments. A lot of people use laptops. In this COVID time, suddenly people say, their things are not working, or my server suddenly doesn't boot. And especially the lockdowns, for example, 2 weeks back, I had to replace a motherboard. Amazon was not delivering it at all. So there is a delay, but I cannot give those reasons to the customer. So I will have to immediately, move certain instances that are not useful to some others, some other server, or back it up and then get the server, something for the projects where the delivery has to happen. So these are all putting additional pressures, in running a show. Again, we have committed to the customer. We have to deliver it, whatever it may be. So you need to have a perseverance, and then you need to put the efforts that is required. But the same COVID-19 is also an opportunity. I think 6 months back, I had a couple of customer calls, one from Portugal, another from Brazil. And with this new normal where, I think they are going to enforce social distancing as part of the policy. So one of the, healthcare, this was on a healthcare, one of the hospital, company wanted to do a project where they wanted to bring in a social distancing as part of their, outpatient process. So when a person comes in, today the process cannot avoid social distancing, and they wanted to change the way, this outpatient process is done so that we can enforce social distancing. So people have started talking about that. And more importantly, the first thing is digital transformation. I think that is going to take a serious turn here. I did attend a conference recently, and that was more on healthcare. And people are pushing for digital transformation on various areas of the healthcare. One of the things is purely on the radiology thing, because again, this COVID-19 again exposed our medical infrastructure gaps. And luckily we are surviving, but we are going to have such waves going forward. There is going to be a third wave. England is already having a third wave. We might get again, there is going to be a fourth wave. And a country like us with 1.4 billion population, vaccination is not a easy task. It's not a joke. If the proper planning happens, they may be able to do it in another 8 months. I think otherwise, they will take 3 years if they are going in the pace they are doing right now in Tamil Nadu. So without vaccination, with so many waves, we are into a deep trouble. So digital transformation is important. The second thing is, try to look at using public cloud as much as possible, so we can slowly, avoid any dependency on the, local resources. And I think a lot of meetings are happening today online. Even the education is happening with the online. I think there are a lot of opportunities that has come with the Edge Company solution. For example, you may use a Zoom. You may use, various other tools like Cisco, WebEx. Again, you can look at, solutions where, whether you can operate the same, meetings with a lower bandwidth. What we need to do, I think this is one solution. You can reduce the latency by starting looking into edge computing. Edge computing is now is also being talked a lot. I think I had a couple of other customers, who had some ideas and they wanted my help on, doing certain solutions for them, and that is specific to their use cases. So this is one area where I think this COVID-19 is going to be opportunity. Let's look at, turning this pandemic to opportunity. I think we know what is going on, and you can, if you sit down and then look at for 30 minutes, you may find a couple of ideas where you think probably, that is going to add value to our existing lifestyle. And even if it's 1%, value addition, I think that's a big success. I think people like you, students, I think you guys are smart. Like what Rafi said, we are old brains and you are, new brains in this new generation. I think you can probably have a better thinking than us. And I think a small idea is enough for you to start an entrepreneur. Again, the next slide probably will help you there. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you should try it out. I think you can lead a very good life, being an employee and then sticking to some 10 to 5. I don't think that is possible in the software companies. In government jobs, yes, probably, but in software companies also we work hard. But if you are happy with getting a paycheck, not worrying about anything else, you can continue that. But if you wanted to, do something, something very entertaining and stuff like that, you can try this entrepreneurial way. I think Rafik's, you can look at Rafik's, way of getting into it. I think that's one of the very good opportunity. Some people may be hesitant, but he clinged on to it, and that perseverance is very important. So nobody is born as an entrepreneur. Again, I'm the first entrepreneur in my family, and I have learned everything in a tough way, a difficult way. So I didn't go through any business school. So I take decisions. Some decisions are very good. I feel proud about it. Some decisions are bad. Then I know, okay, I shouldn't do this. That's it. So that's a good learning. So if I start another company next, I know, what I should not do. What things I may not still know what things I should do as a right way, but I know what things I should not do, which could be a problem. So that is the learning I get. And there is no perfect guide to be an entrepreneurship. So I cannot say, okay, this is a guide. You follow it, you will become a perfect entrepreneur. That doesn't apply. I think there can be books that can say it, but there is no perfect, because there are a lot of context attached to it. Unless you know the context, I don't think you can generalize it. So the 5 points that I want to tell is going to be very useful. Right mindset. Again, when I started the company, I didn't want anybody to know that I started the company. I started it. I didn't know how long I will go. So I didn't want to tell anybody that I started the company. My mindset was, we will give it a try. If it fails, I will not tell anyone. I will come back. I'll say, I came just now. I'm starting I'm going to join a company, another company. So I think when you start a company, have a right mindset. Failure might be likely, but failure is not a failure. Failure is a learning. You will never get this kind of learning. You will never get in any other way, and that is going to help you. In fact, as I said before, a lot of companies, they encourage, if an entrepreneur applies, probably you would have failed. It's not a failure. It's a stepping stone for success. Okay, and success is not given, but you need to have the right mindset. Be honest. This is very important. If you are in an organization, you can blame it to somebody else. You can point somebody else. You can say it's a problem by my boss. This guy is a problem, but here you have to blame yourself. So obviously, whether you take a good decision or bad decision, ultimately you are accountable for. So you need to be honest. That's very important. I think it's your baby. So one thing I learned is, before I take a decision, probably it's me I should take. I can even consult with others, with right-minded people, but ultimately, enough research should have gone, and you should justify your decision. It could backfire you, but doesn't matter. As long as you do the right research and planning, you are good. 200% commitment. As I said, even after 17 years, I'm working 15 hours per day. I'm still learning. I still think there are Sorry, guys, I didn't see the time. This is my last, so I'm going to end it up.
Yes.
So the last thing is commitment is important. You have to put your best foot. I think success does not come without hard work. So you will have to put a hard work. I mean, if you have to ripe a fruit, you have to do whatever is required. And if that requires a good hard work, you need to do it. I think there is nothing substitute. And finally, a right mentor is very important. I think they can probably guide you. So these are the 5 things you keep in mind. Even after following these five things, you might still, I wouldn't say a failure. There could be a setbacks, but that's a learning. And finally, thank you. That's all I had. Again, I overshoot my time. I'm sorry for that.
No, thank you. Actually, there are a lot of things